Hey everybody, this video is part of our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. You can find that on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes. You can pretty much find it anywhere, so we don't care where you listen. Just stick around and check it out.
We are going to move on, however. We're going to go to the NFC before coming back to the Kansas City Chiefs. And if we look at the NFC side of the playoffs, basically we have the Cowboys have locked up home field advantage. The Falcons can lock up a first-round bye with a win over the Saints this week. The Seahawks need a win over the Niners in order to keep the 3 seed or get the 2 seed back if Atlanta loses to the Saints. Packers and Lions fighting for a playoff spot in the division. The Giants are the only ones sitting there going, you know what, we just got to win and we're the 5th seed. The team I want to focus on, though, is the Atlanta Falcons because some of the teams that me and you have mentioned, Mark, the Packers, they're kind of on a roll. This is usually a territory where when Aaron Rodgers gets on this roll going into the playoffs, they could be a scary team. To me, I look at the Giants and I go, this kind of has giant 6-seed run written all over it to beat the Patriots in the, and I'm calling that, like, Sean didn't like this, but my name for if that Super Bowl happens, Patriots Giants 3 or 6, because of the reference I'm going with, Return of the Eli.
Yeah.
Basically what I'm going, Return of the Jedi, Return of the Eli. But I want to look at the Falcons. Are they the scariest team in the NFC in this playoff race? Are they the team that could do the most damage this playoffs?
Here's the thing. They probably should be, but they're not. Matt Ryan is on one hell of a run this year. This team has an amazing passing game. They've got a great running game. The reason why the Atlanta Falcons are not the team to be the most terrified of, to me, it's just that the defense, I look at it and go, I'm not scared of that. I'm not scared of that defense. Mm-hmm. A team whose defense I am scared of, the New York Giants. And Eli Manning knows how to turn it on. He can turn it on. Odell Beckham Jr., he can turn it on. You know these guys can do it. You know, Aaron Rodgers can lead the same team. You know, I think these are the teams that I'm more scared of. Do I think Atlanta can easily push their way forward and kind of get some headway and head towards the Super Bowl? Yeah, I totally think they can. And I actually would pick Atlanta over quite a few teams that I think are going to be in the playoffs. Because the NFC is not completely locked up yet. But to me, I am more scared of the New York Giants defense and then the New York Giants offense playing hot. And I'm more scared of Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers than I am of the Atlanta Falcons. And a big part of that for me is the simple fact that history tells me I should not believe in the Atlanta Falcons when they're in the playoffs. Of all these Atlanta Falcons teams getting in there, they've won, one playoff game? I've seen both New York and Green Bay get hot late in the season, barely make it into the playoffs, and go on Super Bowl runs. I've seen it happen with both of these teams. That's what I'm more scared of. I think Atlanta can beat Washington. I think Atlanta could beat Detroit, because those two are the toss-up, really. I think that Atlanta could probably beat Seattle. I'll put them over Seattle. I actually think Atlanta will beat Dallas if they play Dallas ever. They probably won't because that's a 1 and 2 seed. But
well, that would have to be the NFC title game if they met.
Exactly. I just think that the Giants and Green Bay, those are the two teams that scare me the most because those are teams that history has shown been there, done that. They have gone on these impressive runs and they have made it happen. But with that being said, I think of all these teams, this whole scenario, if you're going to put your money somewhere, Atlanta's probably your safest bet.
Well, and the thing with me is I look at this offense, and really when we look at quarterbacks who are on the kind of trend that Matt Ryan is, basically to me, if there are any 2 quarterbacks I want entering these playoffs, it's Aaron Rodgers and it's Matt Ryan because they are the hottest. And I know that New York has that defense, and that's probably a reason why I'm leaning towards a Giant Patriot Super Bowl this year. But the thing that I think that this Falcons team is going to do is I think when we get to the playoffs, their offense is not going to slow down. And I think that unless these other teams can take away the deep ball, Atlanta could be a Super Bowl contender this year.
Oh, they are a Super Bowl contender.
I'm not going to say they're going to make it because I'm putting my money on the Giants running the table because that's what the Giants do when they're a 6-5 seed and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that, Atlanta is probably my second favorite of these teams to go to the Super Bowl as it's standing right now. Dallas, I'm kind of counting them out because I think the inexperience will catch up. Seattle, I definitely think there's potential there. Detroit or Washington, no, they're out of there for me. It's just that this is a great passing attack. Matt Ryan does not turn the ball over. Only 7 interceptions this year to his 34 touchdowns. Matt Ryan, without a doubt, is my MVP this year. I think he's the MVP. I know Tom Brady, people want to throw him in there, but Tom Brady got disqualified when his team went 3-1 without him. So I'm not worried about Tom Brady in that. To me, yeah, it's all about Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's been great. The deep ball's been great. The running game with Freeman's been fantastic. But what they, you always say defense wins championships. Defense is what matters in the playoffs. It's what people always want to say. If it comes down to a battle between Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan, I've seen this game before. I'm going to pick Aaron Rodgers. I just, when it comes down to those two, I feel that Aaron Rodgers can go ahead and get it done. Which is unfortunate because I would love to see Atlanta go even further in this. I would love to see Atlanta finally go ahead, shut out any doubters. They have new coaches here, so they can make this happen. It's not like the old curses over there. But yeah, are they the scariest team? No, they're not the scariest team. To me, the scary teams are the ones that are creeping up behind you and have the momentum. Atlanta is just that team that you feel really confident about. And they probably will be the team that would get upset.
Well, and the thing that I'm looking at is, to me, if I'm Atlanta, and I mean, of course, this could be me looking ahead, but obviously everyone's going to compare you. When you say, are you the scariest team in the NFC? Everyone's going to think of a matchup you mentioned a little bit ago. How would they do against the Cowboys? Because right now, the Cowboys are the golden child in the NFC, especially because of the success with Dak and that offensive line and Ezekiel Elliott and their rookies are doing so great. But the thing that I look at, and to me it comes down to 3 games. Can the Falcons beat the Cowboys, pardon me?
Yeah.
Yes, they can. And when I look at it, look at the Monday night game that we just had. Matt Stafford only had an average of 5.7 per attempt, but threw for 260 yards, but didn't get into the end zone. Really, it was the running back who would have had Zach Zenner on their fantasy team got dividends because A, he scored points, 2, nobody else had him on his fantasy team. But then when I look at the Giant games, Eli Manning, 6.9 per attempt, got in the end zone, but only had 193 yards. That was the 10-7 game. And then in the 29 game, 7.4 per attempt. So this is a Dallas defense that, I'm telling you, when Dallas gets to the playoffs, it's going to be a different story. And I'm not saying this like, oh, Dallas is going to lose, drinking the haterade. I'm just going to say that teams are going to say, hey, you know what? Let's make Dak uncomfortable. How do you do that? Well, yeah, you get pressure on him, but you load the box, you limit Zeke, and then you say, hey, you know what? We're covering the middle of the field. Try to beat us deep, big boy.
Well, plus
try to do something that
in
your
the
offensive
playoffs,
coordinator
you really
doesn't
need
let
your
you do.
defense to step up, and that's going to be the weakest part of the Dallas Cowboys. Same thing with the Atlanta Falcons. That's going to be the weakest part.
But I think the Falcons are going to be able to air it out. If they went head-to-head with the Cowboys, I think that they'd be able to air it out more than the Cowboys. And basically, if I'm the Falcons going into a Cowboy game, I'm looking at the Giant tape. I know that first game, Cowboy fans are saying, but Ricky, if Williams doesn't run, if he runs out of bounds, we win that game. If Terrence Williams runs out of bounds, we win that game. Okay, I'll give it to you. If he runs out of bounds, you win that game. But the point is, you still lost. That second game, you had all the chances in the world to right the demons and say we should have won it, and you still lost it. Yeah, you could say the Giant defense is strong, and they are. I'm not saying that they're not, but I think that this Falcon passing attack is going to be their biggest strength and could be why they make a deep run in this playoffs. To me, it comes down to, if I'm picking 3 teams, my top 3, these are the teams that I'm placing my bet on to win the Super Bowl. At number 1, I'm picking the Giants just because of it's me thinking this is what the Giants do, and they've got
you're going
that
off
defense.
of history.
The Packers, they're hot right now. The Falcons, they've got one of the best passing attacks in the NFL. The only passing attack that has racked up more yards than them is Drew Brees. Not the Saints, just Drew Brees. It's the passing attack that has racked up more passing yards and more total yards than them. So those would be my top 3 teams. Dallas wouldn't even be in my top 3 teams to make the Super Bowl in the NFC.
You look at the route that they have and who they have to go through, and I think they have an easier route than Dallas. So you're going to have, according to me...
And this is if they have the 2 seed like they would have right now.
I'm assuming they're going to have it. This is what I have going on here. I have Dallas at number 1. I have Atlanta getting the 2nd seed. So then I have a game against at Seattle, and I have Washington in the playoffs. Washington is my 6th seed. I have Washington winning their game against the Giants. I have the Lions losing their game to the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
So then we have a Packers-Giants game. That team is going to play Dallas. So Atlanta gets Seattle. I think that Atlanta can beat Seattle.
Especially in Atlanta.
Exactly. So I think they can get to the NFC Championship game.
Could you imagine that? Dan Quinn
He would love it.
hosting his old team in Atlanta 2 years after he left?
Yeah.
That would just write stories itself.
Exactly. So I definitely think that, Dallas is going to struggle, even though I know Dallas has beaten Green Bay. They can do that. But
this is not the same Green Bay team they saw.
Exactly. To have this second chance, Green Bay can really get it done. And they've already lost to the Giants twice. So I am not confident about Dallas repeating that. Atlanta, I think Atlanta can beat Seattle. So then it really comes down to, is Atlanta going to play New York? Is Atlanta going to play Green Bay? Those are going to be tough matchups for them.
I think Atlanta, if they get the 2 seed, you can... I'm not going to say easy path to the NFC title game because the Seahawks are a
easier.
team. It's easier, but I'm not going to say it's easy because the Seahawks, they're a team that
They're not experienced.
They're
They know
not
what
the
they're
same.
doing.
They're experienced, though. Yeah, that's what I was going to get at. I mean, Tyler Lockett is not going to be playing after that gruesome leg injury. What was with leg injuries this past week? The 2 quarterbacks,
Nobody did their
Tyler
stretches. I don't know.
Lockett. Well, Lockett was a different story. He basically had a Kevin Ware situation out on the field, and our prayers are with him. But this Falcon team, I think their road is set, and I think that it's basically going to be them playing the Cowboys, the Packers, or the Giants in the. And I know you're saying, well, Ricky, those are all the teams they could probably play in the NFC title game. And it's
Ricky,
only
who did that earlier.
It's only because out of the Packers, Giants, and Cowboys situation, they're just going to beat each other up. They're going to beat each other up, Packers and Giants, Cowboys in that winner, and then the winner gets the Falcons, where the Falcons can be like, we'll get whoever. You guys beat each other up. Come play us. It's basically when you have that situation where you got like the 3 kids arguing, and the parent goes, you know what? You guys figure it out. Come back to me when you figured out who's going to be the one.
Yeah.
That's basically what the Falcons are going to be doing.
So I really think that Atlanta, they're the safe pick. They're not the scary team. So Atlanta fans, don't think we're knocking on you guys. You guys are an easy pick.
If anything, I am more for you than Mark has been.
Yeah, just because I think that when you're talking about scary teams, it's Green Bay, it's New York.
I think they're the teams that are the hottest right now in my mind, but I look at this Atlanta team and they have the tools offensively, especially if they can get kind of a run game going with it like Coleman was able to do last week. This team could be something special for a playoff run, but this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below in the comment section what you guys think about the Falcons as it pertains to the NFL playoffs.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And don't worry, there is plenty more where that came from. You guys can check it out right over here. Click that video, start watching it, and just stick around on Most Valuable Podcasts.